All right, everybody.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I don't know if we had some issues with the video, with the audio portion, but hopefully you were able to see our great intro video. My name is Stephen Shaw. I am the Community Engagement Director at Verizon, and it is my pleasure to be here today, sitting in the host chair. I've been a part of every competition, but never hosted, so it's great to sit in Desiree's seat today. I want to welcome you all to another Friday edition of our TechRise pitch competitions. For those who are unfamiliar, this is your first time joining with us. TechRise is a multi-stage collaborative endeavor founded by Verizon with P33, and we support Black and Latinx tech entrepreneurs from the idea stage all the way to exit. We do that by providing the things that every tech entrepreneur needs: capital, connections, and building a sense of community. We have connections with at 1871 and their accelerator programs and other accelerators across the city. We're building a wonderful community of support and offering workshops to our founders. And the way we deploy our capital is through our pitch competition. So this is our marquee event that we do thanks to our wonderful team at P33 who cultivates these every week by theme. And so welcome to our pitch competition today, which is focused on the future of work. And these competitions feature Black and Latinx, and this is season 2. So now we've broadened our umbrella to incorporate all BIPOC tech founders. We have some specific women-focused initiatives and tech pitch competitions. And so we're excited about what we're doing this year in season 2 of TechRise. Now, each week, these pitch competitions feature 3 to 5 tech entrepreneurs who are from the idea stage all the way to a seed stage, certainly pre-Series A seed stage, Series A stage, and they have a chance to win between $25,000 and $50,000. We group these entrepreneurs by theme, and so again, today's theme is the future of work, and so we're looking forward to seeing some wonderful pitches today by some fantastic tech founders. Now, we want to thank our corporate partners and other philanthropic partners because they supply the prize money each week that is presented to our winning founder. Now, as you saw in the intro video, hopefully, even if you didn't get to hear it, hopefully you got to see some of the really impressive stats and things that we have achieved in our first year of existence. And so we have our community of founders. We've raised the founders have raised about a collective $8.8 million since founding their businesses and since appearing on the TechRise stage. And then they have increased their collective funding by an additional $10.6 million in just 7 months. So that's really impressive. In addition, our founders who have been on the TechRise stage, they have increased job growth and created 193 new jobs and increased their revenue by average of 30% quarter over quarter. So this speaks to the exciting work that we're doing and how TechRise has catalyzed Chicago as one of the best, if not the best place in the country for our Black and Latinx and our BIPOC founders of color. So we're really pleased and proud of the work that we're doing. want to make sure, of course, we couldn't have a pitch competition without judges. So want to take a few seconds to introduce our wonderful judges for today. So as I call your name, please come on screen. First, we have Savannah Greene, who is a principal at Workday Ventures. Savannah joined Workday in 2020 as a principal on the investment team. Before entering the world of finance, she spent several years in media and entertainment. Savannah has held roles at Attention Capital, which is a New York-based firm that invests in media and technology, as well as she spent time at Plexo Capital, which is a spinout that invests in women and minority-led startups and seed stage VCs. So thank you, Savannah, for being here today. Next, I'd like to bring to the stage Kelly Graziedi. Kelly is a partner at F7 and brings 20 years of leadership experience in tech with companies ranging from 3 people to over 200,000 people. Kelly built and led the go-to-market teams at Alta Vista, Yahoo, and Facebook. In 2018, Kelly became a founding partner of F7, and she recently closed a $50 million pre-seed and seed fund, and she's made over 40 investments in pre-seed and seed stage companies to date. So Kelly, thank you for being here. And our third judge for today is Anna Barber. Anna is a partner at M13, which is a LA-based venture fund that invests in the future of consumer behavior across fintech, commerce, health, and work. M13's portfolio includes Daily Harvest, Market Thrive Market, KrAt, Passport, and Upside Financing. Anna was previously the managing director of Techstars LA and a founding partner of Fund LA. And she has led investments in more than 80 companies. So Anna, thank you so much for being here today. All right, I think we're about on schedule. So now let's bring our founders, our first founder to the stage. Our first founder is Anthony Hendrix of Remoteshare. So Anthony, if you will come to the stage now and share your screen. I'll let you know when we can see your presentation. All right, we can see it. We're ready to go when you are.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anthony Hendrix, and I'm the proud founder at Remoteshare. I want you to take a moment to think about a time that you needed space to work. Was it because you were maybe feeling distracted, bored, or isolated? Or does it remind you of a chaotic work experience you had at a noisy cafe or a crowded co-working hub? Remote and hybrid work is here to stay. So why is it still so hard for teams to find nearby on-demand spaces to get uninterrupted work done? America's future workforce of millennials and Gen Z demand flexibility around where they can work each month. And data shows that these types of employee benefits are proven to decrease burnout, increase productivity, and retain top-notch talent. Did you know that on average, remote and hybrid teams save $22,000 per employee each year, and over 65% of US corporations are setting aside funds and offering stipends to outsource employee workspace needs? Our team at Remoteshare sees a massive opportunity here. With the total co-working market well over $1.5 trillion and a local addressable market near $2 billion and expected to be 10 times that by 2025. So we asked the hard question, why are we building more spaces for people to work? With inflation and a looming recession, Chicago property owners need help now. And we found that with just a little support from our team, we can help hosts convert unused real estate into a passive income opportunity. Here are the problems. Professionals demand flexible workspace options each month. Hosts have unused space that they could convert into a daytime office or a meeting venue. And there's no marketplace offering workspace support and community for remote professionals. That's where Remoteshare comes in. We're a marketplace that solely focuses on sourcing and curating ergonomic work environments that are created by a vetted community of hosts. Here's how it works. Our team seeks out and supports neighborhood hosts like Samson and Sarah here that wish to rent their clean and creative workspace to professionals during the daytime, ultimately allowing Samson and Sarah to make more money so they can live fuller lives. Our hosts take pride in connecting professionals to their local community, and they work very hard to foster bespoke work experiences for each guest. On the other hand, our members consist of entrepreneurs and hybrid teams. Once they're approved by our team, they can browse our fleet of workspaces, message hosts directly in app, and filter listings based on amenities, pricing, location, and more. When it comes to our business model, members can select either on-demand booking options by the hour, the day, or the week, and these prices are set by hosts. But members can also subscribe for a set number of bookings each month at any of our workspaces, and this price is set by our team based on competitors. On average, we found that we can save our members 30 to 50% each month compared to other workspace competitors. Additionally, we're different because we're an affordable co-working alternative. There's less upfront cost for hosts to list a space. Remoteshare owns zero inventory, and we don't do overnight bookings. So we only focus on creating daytime work environments. We started 24 months ago distributing door hangers and flyers across Chicago, and we found success onboarding members from platforms like LinkedIn, Nextdoor, and Facebook Marketplace. Additionally, Craigslist has been extremely helpful in finding new supply, as well as hosts from other platforms like Airbnb and Gigster are reaching out to us about offsetting low occupancy Monday through Thursday each week, further validating the marketplace that we're building. As a founding host for over 2 years on the platform, I have the passion and personal experience to lead our marketplace expansion, along with my incredible team. We have Dennis, who leads our development team and was a founding developer for Mr. B&B, as well as Darren Buckner, who's a remote work guru with over 20 plus years experience and insight into the future of work. Today's investment from TechRise will go towards hiring a full-time member sales director, as well as paying for $1 million host protection policy to provide peace of mind for our growing community. What happens when we win? Think Airbnb meets WeWork. We become the world's largest marketplace for flex workspaces, and we build neighborhood wealth by partnering with hosts so they can earn more money each month. We hope you join us on this exciting journey as we shape the future of work across Chicago and the rest of the world. Thank you.
All right, Anthony, thank you for that presentation. Now, if our judges will come back to the screen, they have a few questions to ask you. And I'm just going to go around the horn. Anna, we'll start with you.
Hey, Anthony, how are you? Great to meet you. And thanks, TechRise, for having me. Just a quick question. You mentioned that you were starting in Chicago. What kind of scale would you like to get to in Chicago before you move to another location?
That's a great question. And as I mentioned, we actually started this concept in 2020. So we're about 24 months in. And what we really want to get down, Anna, before we scale is consistency among all of our workspaces. Having hosts decentralized makes it challenging to make sure that we have a consistent work experience for each member. So we definitely want to make sure that we are having that standard met consistently. Additionally, we also want to make sure that we understand the needs exactly of remote teams. We believe that the future of our business model is to not go after entrepreneurs and freelancers. It's to go after those hybrid teams, those remote corporate teams, and really provide that workspace monthly for them. So that's the plan, and that's what we need to get right here before we expand.
Thanks.
Yes,
and
great.
To that, what milestones would you like to hit over the next 12 months?
Great question, Kelly. So we have some very, very clear goals that we are trying to hit actually by the end of this year. And what those goals are is we want to have 30 live workspaces on the platform. Currently, we have 14 in 8 different neighborhoods across Chicago. Additionally, we want to have 50 active booking members. Those members, like I just shared with Anna, we're trying to push towards the subscription model. They can do on demand, but we see more value in consistently providing those workspace needs each month for them. On top of that, we also have a goal of 100 plus bookings on the platform that we plan to hit by the end of this year. So some really lofty goals, but I think super attainable for my team.
Savannah?
Yeah, thank you. I guess I was wondering, what are the biggest risks or challenges that you see in your business?
Great question. I think some of the biggest risks and challenges is really protecting our hosts. I think that, since we don't own those spaces, I put a lot of thought into how do we make hosts feel comfortable and safe opening their personal space that could be their home or apartment or their unused commercial space to who they perceive as strangers. And we've done a lot of work on making sure that hosts understand that we vet both sides of the marketplace. So our hosts are vetted as well as our members, and then also making sure that they're aware that we have a really robust review system. So at the end of each booking, members are able to share what went really well during that booking, from communication in the beginning all the way to what condition was the space in to checkout. And that actually allows us to provide a consistent experience for members, and then also just provide a safe and predictable booking experience for hosts. Without our supply, we're nothing. So we really want to make sure that they are feeling valued. That also goes back to how we're going to invest today's TechRise money, which is into that $1 million host protection policy. We have really struggled to have hosts join our platform because they're like, you don't have that protection policy like some of those other marketplaces. So that is definitely a super important milestone that we want to tackle as quickly as possible, so that that continues to not be a barrier for hosts joining the platform.
Great. Well, we have 40 more seconds. Does anyone have
just one more quick question I'm curious about? An issue that marketplaces sometimes have is disintermediation. Are you seeing any signs of people kind of going around you, because given they're in the same market and relationships can form?
Yes, marketplace leakage. Yes, so individuals going around or bypassing our in-app messaging system. What we do is we try to share with hosts the value of keeping all communications through our platform, from having that host protection policy for us being able to have their backs if there's any problems that are had. If they do decide to deviate and go outside, we just share with them the risk that's associated with that. I hope that answered your question, Anna.
Great job, Anthony. You have a great knack for coming in right at the buzzer. So good job. Thank you, judges. And now we would like to bring to the TechRise stage KrAt Health. So Dr. James Lott, founder of KrAt Health, come to the stage. All right, James, we can see your presentation and we're ready when you are.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. James Lott. I'm a pharmacist, public policy professional, and the founder and CEO of KrAt Health. Today, we're going to talk about what a revolution in healthcare looks like. We know that we are going to be 124,000 physicians short in the next 10 years. And more patients are going to struggle to get access to care. Now, there is a pharmacy within 5 miles of 93% of Americans, and these educated people are underutilized. We can optimize their utilization if they can tackle complex regulations, payments, marketing, and other things. For our solution, we're creating a pharmacist-run platform that allows patients convenient access to care and makes a lot more money for pharmacies. In terms of market validation, let's think about it. During COVID, we really put this to the test. Pharmacists delivered over 256 million doses of vaccines for COVID. There were over 100 million tests delivered at the pharmacy. And essentially, this comes out to 2 out of every 3 vaccines given by a pharmacist. So why can't these doctorate-educated folks do more? With KrAt, we're allowing just for that. We're creating a new business model for pharmacies that allows them to basically optimize servicing their communities. KrAt is a marketplace that connects patients in need of care for common conditions with local in-person pharmacy providers. And we basically have a turnkey solution for everything the pharmacies need to get started, including protocols and workflows, training and credentialing, appointment scheduling, and all things regulatory compliance on the platform. We've launched 21 services to date, including some of these really high-touch services that communities really need, such as same-day lab testing for COVID, birth control and Plan B prescriptions, UTIs, and more, so patients have a new access point in their communities. It's really simple how it works. A patient can go online to scripted.co and start their visit, selecting a pharmacy near them, or they can go into their local pharmacy, scan a QR code, and basically complete their intake. The pharmacist will then assess for eligibility of the patient. And if the patient is eligible, they'll be able to issue a new prescription for that patient's need so they can get everything in one visit. This is one success story. We had a patient who had to wait 4 months to get her EpiPen. She was really nervous about it. She went to her local pharmacy instead, finished the intake form, and was able to go away with 2 life-saving doses of EpiPen. She was so excited about it, she posted on Facebook to all her friends and family. And the next day, 3 of her family members went to that same pharmacy and got more services. They got better access to care. The pharmacy made more money. Everybody won. Basically, scripted is taking an extremely complex industry and aligning incentives so payers have a better network, patients have more access to care, and pharmacies can make more money and manage this new business opportunity. We've had tons of great traction so far. We raised over $500,000 last year. We've seen 900% growth in pharmacies, and every treatment on our platform is proprietary. If we're so fortunate to win today, we're going to use that to launch a digital marketing campaign, and we're going to take a sales tour to our key states so that we can beachhead those states. Our team is dynamic, made up of pharmacists, physicians, and passionate designers who really want to solve this problem and bring access to care to millions of patients around the nation. Thank you so much.
All right, James, thank you so much. Judges, all right, thanks for going presentation off, James. All right, judges, we will start. Well, this time we'll start with you, Savannah, with the first question for James and scripted.
Great, thank you, James. Can you talk a little bit about kind of so far the go-to-market, both on the patient and the pharmacist side?
Yeah, so in terms of our go-to-market, we're finding a lot of success so far with independent pharmacies on the West Coast. They have more favorable regulations. But not to be short-sighted, many regulations in many states are expanding to allow more pharmacists to prescribe. In fact, the FDA yesterday just announced that they want pharmacists prescribing the life-saving medication Paxlovid for COVID-19. But we're finding independent pharmacies as our sweet spot along the West Coast. Pharmacies, we give them marketing material, and they also have they're getting traffic on the websites that are leading to their stores. So it's they do their own marketing in stores. That's where most of the conversions, the transactions are happening. When patients are looking for over-the-counter solutions, those are being converted to paid pharmacy consults, if that makes sense.
Great. Kelly, would you be next?
Absolutely. James, what do you see as the biggest hurdles to rolling this out more broadly?
Yeah, so more broadly, something that that's starting to come to my attention is we'd like to get these pharmacies onboarded as quickly as possible. So it's like, how do you get to first revenue, for the pharmacist? So how do we get to their first transaction as quickly as possible? And how do we get them on the platform as quickly as possible? These are mostly resource constraints of our own doing, less the pharmacy, but we're seeing that like every pharmacy is going to need that training. Most pharmacists have not prescribed before, but we have that turnkey solution in terms of the technology and partnerships. So like, for instance, we have a partnership with the University of Illinois Chicago College of Pharmacy, who has created training for us to share with our pharmacists, but we need to fix our onboarding process to make this expansion happen a lot sooner. And that's things we can do by automation of the technology.
Do you see the bigger competitive risk coming from the large pharmacy chains or from the tech-enabled urgent care chains that are popping up?
Yeah, no, the actual pharmacy chains are completely on board with this. We've had contacts with 4 out of 5 of the largest chains. In terms of market validation, we found out one of those chains has developed this on their own. The rest of them are very far behind. And they're kind of, I think they're too big to innovate this. That's why they're seeking our support. And we think that the best access to care in every community is the pharmacy. So we see this new consumer behavior. We saw it during the pandemic. We're going to continue to see it. And our kind of value proposition to our pharmacy customers, whether independent or chain, is we can get you profit, we can get you new revenue a lot quicker than you can.
And which are the states where the regulations are most favorable to this?
I'm hoping most of you are in California. That's where most of our customers are today. Great. We see the West Coast, Washington, California, Idaho, Nevada being great, but honestly, a lot of the states are jumping on boards. States we did not see, this being, reality in for 10 years are now getting new legislation. New York is notorious for being very anti-pharmacy prescriptive authority. They have a bill on their desk right now to overhaul all of their own ways, as many states saw the real possibility of what pharmacists can provide to keep communities healthy during the pandemic. And they don't want to be laggards behind providing better public health and access to care that's affordable.
Thanks.
All right. Good job, James. Thank you again, judges. All right. So as James and our judges exit the stage, we'd like to bring on the stage Megan Murday, who is the founder of Metric. And Megan, all right, I see you, Megan, and I see your presentation. So we are ready when you are.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Murday. I'm the founder of Metric. So what we're seeing happen is growing expectation for ESG data from multiple stakeholder groups. ESG data includes environmental, social, and governance performance of companies. Companies are expected to disclose by their customers. This was pioneered by consumers interested in sustainability, but has quickly moved to large corporates who are expected to report on their supply chain. Investors are interested in ESG transparency. About a third of global assets under management will have an ESG mandate by 2025. There's regulatory pressure for disclosure from the European Union, but increasingly the SEC as well. And then finally, it's an expectation of employees. Talent expects to work for companies that share their values, and that trend will only increase as Gen Z enters the labor force in mass as well. The problem is that it's hard today for folks to get ESG transparency. So even within the private markets, private equity funds and then later stage venture capital funds are being asked by their limited partners for ESG disclosure. This is because they have investments from European LPs and then also institutional LPs like the California pension systems. But it's hard for these investors to get visibility because they've invested in companies that are too small to have a full sustainability or ESG team. So typically it falls to one person within the company to wade through competing frameworks and figure out what kinds of data sets they might need for reporting. So what we've built at Metric is a two-sided platform to measure, benchmark, and improve ESG performance. And we use KrAt as the comparable here because it is two-sided for both companies and their investors, and we walk them through the entire end-to-end process. So we work with funds to define the ESG framework, and then at the company level, we gather raw data inputs like utility bills, HR information, to give back to the company and their investor their corporate ESG performance, how they look relative to a benchmark of peers, and then importantly, how they can improve that performance too. So we're not just telling them where there are issues, but also helping them fix the problem. The market size that we're looking at is $73 billion and growing. The ESG measurement software space is most important for us to tackle first, but we also plan to play in the data and services and the sustainability consulting spaces because we're building out a robust proprietary data set on corporate ESG performance and also giving companies recommendations of how they can improve, which is typically the province of consultants. Our funnel to date is comprised of both private equity and venture capital funds. All of this interest has been inbound thus far. We are the North American recommended provider for ESG data management by Venture ESG, and we're piloting across several venture capital funds and negotiating a contract with Techstars as well to expand our reach. The landscape, carbon accounting platforms are one group that we would consider a competitor, but they're very focused on just one dimension of ESG. We see corporate ESG platforms, but they tend to be more focused on compliance and are more expensive than our offering. And then finally, investor data solutions tend to solve the data transparency issue, but don't give functionality for companies on ESG management. Our team combines experience in environmental science and computer science. For myself, I studied policy at Georgetown and earned my MBA at Harvard Business School, where I also co-founded the Sustainability Club. Should we be fortunate enough to win today, the use of funds would go towards our digital marketing campaign. This is a winner takes most market, so it's important for us to have reach into several small companies. So this would help us with outbound through email and LinkedIn, and also updating the shareability functionality within the platform to drive more startup and GP adoption. Finally, and most importantly, like why this data set matters is that it gives companies and investors the ability to align their financial, social, and environmental outcomes, not because it's the right thing to do, but because there's a business case to do it. So thanks so much for your time and looking forward to the questions.
All right. Right on the button, Megan. Nice job. Our judges are here. And this time we're going to start our question round with Kelly.
Megan, thank you. The question I have for you is, what do you see as the killer feature that PE and VC funds are most excited about right now with Metric?
Absolutely. It's that we pay attention to the improvement piece. So a lot of folks understand this data set as, okay, measurements, the finish line, we'll do the measurement, we'll disclose it to our investors, we're done. Like in reality, that is just the starting line for this work. The next question is, okay, these numbers are maybe a little different than we thought. Like what's the plan? How are you going to improve it? And so what's different about us is that we walk both the fund and the companies through how they can improve and what stage appropriate recommendations are, where they should be, what they should be doing to fall in line with their peers. And then we also track progress against goals and projects that companies have adopted. So funds can see who's moving forward, who's not, what's working, what's not. And it lets those funds be good operating partners to those companies too, because they're getting questions from CEOs around things like, we need to improve our corporate diversity. We need to figure out what to do on carbon. Like, what are you seeing your other companies do? So we help those funds be good operating partners and not just another data ask that's not useful to the business.
Megan, this is very timely and great presentation. I'm curious, is your business model focused on the PE firms and VCs as your client, or are you also imagining there's going to be a large revenue stream directly from companies?
Yes, so both. Our go-to-market is focused on the funds because that's just an easier conduit into many companies. But our goal here is to be providing enough company value that regardless of who their investors are, if they exit out of certain investors, they still retain us as their ESG data manager. So right now, what we're seeing in venture is that the funds will pay for the corporate subscriptions too, so the companies don't have to pay for anything. But within private equity, they would roll the cost onto those portfolio companies and pay a separate fee as a fund for data visibility. So down the line, we would expect to see both investors as well as corporates pay.
Great, thanks.
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about a product roadmap, or if there's kind of a couple steps you're excited about.
Yes. So we built out the platform. It is live in market. It's built on Bubble. So we're actually in the midst of building the fully coded version that will be deploying later in August. So very excited to have that. It has the more scalable database. So it sets us up for more robust advanced analytics down the line. We're spending a lot of time this summer on the improvement piece and doubling down on the functionality we're providing there. We see the measurement piece, frankly, as like fairly commoditized in the market. So a few ways we're doing that. One, we had a playbook that we would recommend of best practices across each dimension of ESG. What we saw companies doing was like looking at it as a cherry pick item. So we've broken it into, okay, starting for a seed stage company, like what should you be thinking about that's stage appropriate, all the way through to preparation for IPO. And then finally, we have actually a phenomenal intern this summer who has stood up a beta of a vendor marketplace. So the final question we get from companies is usually, great recommendation, who can we work with? And so that's everything from unconscious bias trainers through to vendors of energy efficient equipment. And so we've aggregated a lot of vendors just in our work for companies. So that is something we'll be launching on the website, and that's something that we would expect to be able to monetize as well through ads or even vendor payment to be included in the marketplace. So very, very excited to have that, excuse me, launched.
All right. Well, Megan, we'll let you catch your breath. Get your breath, get a sip of water. Good job. Thank you, judges. And next, we will bring to the TechRise stage Patrick with KrAt Company, KrAt. Patrick, all right. We can see you, Pat. Now, if you'll share your screen. All right. Do you want to put it in presentation mode?
1 second. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
Okay. As more companies extend to integrate remote hybrid working environments, both employers and employees are tasked with the new office dilemma. Basically, anywhere can be an office, right? We're working in our bedrooms, we're working at our kitchen tables, garages, basements, coffee shops, you name it. Currently, there's no solution on a market that can adequately accommodate working on a go and working in between an office space and your home. For businesses, it's a cost and bottom line issue. For employees, it's a space and convenience issue. That's why I invented the KrAt. So with the KrAt, the mission is to innovate and nurture a remote working ecosystem that boosts productivity, optimizes efficiency, and centralizes convenience by turning any space into a workspace. The engineering and the innovation behind it is really bringing to life some of the old James Bond type scenery, right? We would see that fancy briefcase, open it up, and it's a computer there and it's doing all these things. So why can't I bring that to reality? The KrAt features a internal docking station, extendable trays, goes from your desk, from your bed, anywhere you want. It's literally a desk in an office anywhere. The overall market for like PC accessories, bag, luggage accessories, which is what the KrAt would be grouped into, has about a market cap of about 60 billion, and that's growing, right? Within the next 5 to 10 years, it's estimated it will cross 100 billion. And now due to remote and hybrid working, right? Companies, employers, the average spend per employee per month is about $1,000 when it comes to like overhead, when they're thinking about office space and providing them with the tools they need, right? So think about an office in a box. The strategy here is pretty simple. With the funding from TechRise, I can go ahead and create the prototype and final MVP for the KrAt. I would then use that at the top of next year to facilitate a quality crowdfund campaign, not primarily to pursue like additional funding, more so for research and development. The goal here would be about 500 units in that campaign of 3 to 6 months. And from that, the goal would be to really draw a quality sample of ways that it could be tweaked and improved to then proceed to the final phase of the three-phase strategy, which is securing a quality licensing partner. The goal here would be aligning with accessory niche like experts, with that bringing into life what the KrAt can be. Current solutions either offer too much, too little of the features native to the KrAt. For example, when we think about Rain Design, Samsonite, Veridesk, these products, they maybe convert a desk in a current space, right? But you can't just pack it up and take it with you. Some luggage, right? We can store our laptops in, store our accessories in. Maybe it can charge, maybe it has a station of some sort. However, it is not an all-encompassing solution, right? Singular use and limited functionality. Milestones. Over the next year, the goal is to bring to market at least 3 of the MVPs in the form of a briefcase, a backpack, and a roller case, all designed to easily be transported for traveling on the go, working on the go, productivity on the go. With that, a 5-year unit goal would be 1 million at an average cost per good of about 150 to 250, and an average MSRP of about $1,000. Cost per MVP is 25K.
You know what, Pat? So I have to stop you there, but hopefully you can cover some more material in your Q&A. So want to, for the record, I mispronounced it. I love it, the KrAt. So with that, I want to turn it over to the judges to ask you some questions about your James Bond office on the go. So Pat, please go off of presentation, and so we can see all of our judges. There we go. All right, judges, this time we're going to start back at the top. We're going to kick it off with Anna.
Hi, Pat. Thanks so much. I'm curious, what is the use case and real core target customer that inspired you to develop this?
Great question. So I'm pretty much the use case. So 2 summers ago, in the midst of COVID, I was just in my living room. I was sitting at a wooden tray, right? You know, the kitchen wooden trays with the legs. And I have my laptop there, I have my coffee there, and I have my mouse and everything kind of propped up, right? And I'm constantly kind of moving around, and I'm like, why can't I just kind of like take it all with me, right? If there was just a way for me to pack up this tray and wherever I'm at, I could just have what I need, and I wouldn't be limited to carrying around just bulky extra items. So I just kind of hit the web and did some research to see were there any solutions out there. And lo and behold, there weren't. Currently, most of the solutions, they may be, it's a bag to carry your laptop. It's a tray you can purchase to put on top of your desk. But there really isn't a way for you to take it with you on the go. So some of the metrics behind a design, even the average usable desk space that the average professional uses is between 36 to 48 inches. So the desk is designed to give you 24 inches of immediate usable space, which accommodates the typical size laptop up to 17 inches with an additional trackpad there. Additional trays expand out 7 inches each for a 36-inch diameter of desk usability, right? So from that, you're able to dock your phone, your iPad, and it actually has the screen built in. So you can use it as a computer itself without having to add a device to it, or you can use it as an external display. So eliminating the need for additional displays, you name it.
All right, Kelly.
Thank you. I love how thoughtful you are about the design. Can you share a little bit more about your plans around manufacturing and cost of manufacturing?
Great question. So I've received a few quotes here from different U.S. manufacturers, and the initial tooling, molding of it is coming in at around $7K. So I know that a discretionary budget of 10 would give me what I need to really get the proper circuitry in it. When it comes to the design and the creation of it, I'm looking at carbon fiber material, and with that is where I got the cost of goods of around $150 to $250, and the price point that I'm aiming at for the briefcase is going to be around $1,000. And I arrived at that number just looking at what companies currently spend per employee to provide them with a laptop and different peripherals. And to give you context for that, I'm a procurement.
You know what, Pat? I'm gonna have to just cut you off because I want to make sure that Savannah gets in with a question. Okay. So go ahead, Savannah.
Okay, I'll keep it quick. I was just wondering, as you think about the MVP and some user testing, what are kind of the key hypotheses or features that you're interested in testing?
Primarily looking for the weight and portability of it. And when we get into the feasibility of the features, right? So when we think about, onboard Wi-Fi, onboard storage, a docking station that can accommodate virtually all of the essential ports that you would need. I'm really looking for feedback for the quality of those, the power output of those, and if it actually is enabling there to be an anywhere office.
All right, we were able to get all of you in with questions in 4 minutes. Wonderful. Thank you, Pat. Thanks, judges. And all right, now we have one more competitor for today. So I'd like to bring to the stage our last competitor, certainly not least, Nestor Lara with Nuve platform. Nestor.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right, we see your presentation, so we're ready when you are.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Nestor Lara. I'm the CEO of Nuve Platform. Today, I want to talk to you about a $4.5 billion market opportunity to change the way that SAP, the software system that runs virtually all major multinational companies, is hosted and deployed. Put bluntly, SAP development is broken. If I were to start working at a web development company, by the end of my first day, I would be able to ship my first change to production for all of the users to see. However, as an SAP developer, I would probably need to wait for 3 weeks to get access to a shared system to make the change, and then wait another week for that change to get tested, and another week for it to be deployed. That's a total of 5 weeks. 1 day versus 5 weeks. The key issue is that everyone's using a shared system. So any changes to that system are very risky, which leads to a vicious cycle where people are constantly waiting for access to the shared system. And a lot of processes and procedures are put into place to prevent mistakes from happening, which further slows the development cycles. Nuve platform changes all of that by giving each developer their own isolated system. And we do it more affordably than the competitors who currently host the shared systems. Embedded in this process is our go-to-market strategy. We are selling a system for each individual developer so that they can get their job done without interrupting other developers' workflows. It speeds up development cycles by 5 to 10 times and saves up to $500,000 per year per developer. We created a really simple interface so that even a non-developer can set up a system with just a few clicks. And we already have paying customers after making our pivot only a few months ago. Now those customers want to introduce Nuve to their customers, who in turn are interested in introducing us to their suppliers, which forms a virtuous cycle. Now, you might be asking yourself, why does this problem still exist? And that's a great question, because web developers have been solving this over the last 20 years. Quite frankly, enterprise is always the last to adopt technology. They need a proven playbook and a clear path. At this point, that playbook has been proven by web developers, and we are paving the path. We created this platform to speed up the development of our initial app. It actually turned out that our customers didn't want that app. Instead, they wanted the solution that we're presenting to you today. We have a great team. We have over 20 years of combined SAP experience, as well as web development and cloud architecture experience. And we have a product in market. We have customers, and we have a strong pipeline. If awarded the prize money, we plan to use it to get in front of more prospective customers. Specifically, we've been invited by major players to share what we've learned and how we work at industry conferences. So the money would be used for travel and to join various industry groups and host on-site meetups around the country. So let me tell you about the future. I recently spoke to a founder who lost a contract because an SAP implementation was going to take 7 years to complete, and their deal was contingent on that being done. That's unacceptable. In the future, that founder will be able to take a copy of the company's SAP system on the Nuve platform and run the implementation in-house, as opposed to going through a labyrinth of consultants and multiple years of waiting. With the agility that Nuve provides, SAP as a system would have been able to adapt to the supply chain issues we've encountered these past 2 years, and companies would be able to better provide the products and services to the people who need them during the time. That's the future we're building.
All right. Nice work, Nestor. If our judges will come back onto the screen, and this time we'll start the questions with Savannah.
Great, thanks, Nestor. I was wondering if you could talk a bit about some of the feedback you're hearing from customers, I guess specifically kind of around the pivot, and then maybe since you've pivoted.
Yeah, it was interesting because as we were doing demos, it was our original application was an e-commerce application, and we were sharing how we would be able to deploy it so quickly. And I think customers at first were like, I don't believe you can do that. How? So then we'd go into the development stack that we created, and the feedback we were getting was, whoa, can I see that? Can I get that? The feedback's been great, just because right now it's such a legacy tool with a lot of manual processes, and everything takes so long to do that whenever they actually see our platform and see it working, like we get comments like, we thought this was impossible, or just jaw-dropping moments, which is pretty rewarding.
Nestor, who's your buyer and then who's your end user? And how does that kind of dictate your go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, so there's kind of two different buyers. There's SAP partners as well as customers that are, running SAP systems themselves. Within those, it's usually someone who is responsible for architecture. And within our go-to-market strategy, we're targeting both because both of them are kind of following that same old process where everything takes weeks or sometimes months. And it really helps them reduce their operational cost as well as increase their productivity. Because now that this is more like modern development should be, it really just like aligns the IT process with it. So.
Nestor, I'm curious, given the pain you've described, like why is the timing right for Nuve now? Like why hasn't this been done before?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is that enterprise is just slow. There's a lot of different technologies that had to be created, and that playbook had to be mature enough for them to start adopting something like this. So we're at the point now where people outside of SAP at the companies, all the DevOps teams or web development teams are asking when is SAP going to modernize their stack because they're becoming the bottleneck. It's not enough anymore to move at that same slow pace that they used to move before, which was features taking months. So now SAP IT leaders are starting to look for solutions like ours. And luckily, we're the first to market with this. No one else is offering the service yet. So we're in a good spot for that.
We have time for another question.
I'm curious about, how you think about navigating versus SAP, right? Is there, are they your natural buyer? Are they your partner? Are they going to look at what you're doing and build it in-house? How do you think about that relationship?
Yeah, so far it's been pretty positive. They've also reached out to us. We've done SAP community calls with them, sharing how our stack works. They recently had an SAP course where they were talking about, containerizing SAP to allow it to work the way our platform works. But they said that they were not supporting that. You had to work with partners such as ourselves to implement it. Eventually, having them be a buyer would be great. But right now, it hasn't been a competitive relationship. It's been pretty collaborative. So that's been great.
All right. Well, thank you again, Nestor. And that's our final pitch for the day. So kudos to all 5 founders for doing a great job executing your pitches. And now we will ask the judges to go into the judges' room for the unenviable task of deciding who is going to be our winner today. And while we do that, I am looking forward to speaking with our guest speaker today, Chanté Martinez Thurmond. So Chanté, if you will come to the screen, and all of our founders, if you'll go camera off. So Chanté, thank you for being here today. Welcome to TechRise. Let's just start off with some. Just give us a little bit. Give us a little bit of information. The Darkest Horse. What's that about?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Chanté Martinez Thurmond, and my pronouns are she, her, ella. Yes, here in Chicago, really proud Midwestern gal. And I am the co-founder of a DEIA next-gen consultancy that we call The Darkest Horse. We started it as a podcast back in 2017, and it just organically grew into a consultancy. And so now we sort of, we practice and we focus on radical inclusion, emerging technology, the future of work, and health, well-being, and human potential, partnering with like companies and different community stakeholders to build more equitable community, equitable culture, equitable products, services offerings. And so, as you might imagine, there's just a lot of work that goes into that. And I certainly don't get to do it alone. We do it through a lot of collaboration and intentionality. It's quite fun.
Well, Chanté, we're fortunate to have you here today, someone with your expertise, given our theme of future of work. So coming out, and I still say we are coming out, we're not out yet, but coming out of, as we work to come out of the pandemic, how has your advice to clients changed regarding future to work, as opposed to maybe how you might have advised them pre-pandemic?
It's an interesting time for sure. I think one of the things that has struck me with the future of work conversation is that we always sort of position it as the future of work being so far away. And what I'm trying to remind clients and community and client and partners is just to say, you know what, this is our opportunity to be more present. If the pandemic, for example, has taught us anything, it is to be more present with ourselves, more aware and with one another, and to understand what it means to be human. And that the technology that we're using and the sort of things that we're dreaming of with the future of work are tools and resources that will make our human experience better, but they shouldn't be replacing our human experience. So we really lean into that. And interestingly enough, I just talked with the client this morning about this a little bit, right? And it's just, it feels very novel to say, hey, let's actually be mindful. Let's find out who we are and to have more presence. But it's, I guess what I'm learning and constantly hearing from folks is that we just don't have enough time in the day for that. So it actually does feel quite novel to do that. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to reinvent the wheel. It's just looking at this opportunity with different sets of eyes and understanding at this point.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Because as you said, the future of work, sometimes it seems like we're talking about sometime way in the distance, but really we're talking about future, starting now. So right. How have you incorporated the voices of youth and others who are younger in the workforce, or maybe in some cases, there's a whole cohort class of folks who are just starting. So for them, this is the norm. How have you really incorporated their perspectives into the work that you do?
Yeah, I was explaining earlier, I think I told this to Lucy, and how this whole kind of conversation came to be was that we were recognizing that with the future of work conversations, there's been a lot of historically excluded voices, women, people of color, specifically Black and Indigenous people, folks with disabilities, and youth specifically. And so we noticed that because I have a talent background as well in recruiting, I noticed that we were having this expectation on young people to get into the workforce and say, okay, now, just be ready to go with these hard technical skills. And there was still, this really big gap for the soft, more sort of what I would consider those SEL, those social and emotional learning skills. And so we wanted to kind of interrogate that more and explore it. So our company, The Darkest Horse, is currently funding some research around this and trying to understand how we can listen and center young people and their voices, experiences, to really let them be cultural stewards to the top culture that does lead to the future of work. Because in many ways, they are the ones that are experimenting and playing with technology in ways that we as adults have to unlearn. And it's native to them, right? And so we want to honor them and sort of, give credence to them to say, you are savvy consumers. Like, it's not about becoming a leader tomorrow. You are a leader today. Yeah. And understanding what they see to be the problem. And I think through their sort of experience of work, we can understand what our relationship to work is as adults.
Yeah. And I think that's a key to your success, the fact that you have this intergenerational perspective around working and incorporating how you take that information and advise your clients. Let's take a step back. Can you take us through what's your journey, or what is your journey like moving to entrepreneurship? I mean, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you consult with and help other entrepreneurs, but kind of how did that start? Talk a little bit about your journey to entrepreneurship, since we're on a TechRise broadcast today.
Sure. Well, I think I was one of those young people that was really precocious. And I think that my family saw all the sort of the sort of classic symptoms and signs of like, oh, this girl's going to be somebody. I thought I would go to college. I wanted to go to nursing school, wanted to help the world. And my parents just saw me as this like non-traditional thinker, somebody who's always kind of pushing the envelope and challenging the rules and the status quo. And I think over the years, I've gotten cultivated in becoming a radical thinker. For a while, I thought that was bad, right? But now I'm recognizing that there's a lot of power and leaning into that to say, asking a new kind of a question or asking the question that everyone's afraid to sort of ask. And so I was grateful enough to come into a family that was accepting of that. And so over the years, after I graduated from nursing school, I decided to go back and get a master's, and I wanted to be a consultant in OD, like organizational development and consulting. And so started doing that while I was in graduate school, taking on clients here and there. And just over time, it grew into being a full-on consultancy. I became, an executive headhunter and, got into all of that work. And that led me to, starting this podcast and starting The Darkest Horse. And so we're 5 years in now and profitable. We are doing extremely well. All the sort of classic things that they tell women, that it's going to be really hard to make $100,000. It's going to be really hard to stay in business and bootstrap it. We've done all of those things really quickly. And I'm really proud of that. And we try to give opportunity to other people who are entrepreneurial and give them an opportunity to learn learn some of the ways and lessons that we've picked up along the way.
Absolutely. And I think it's important that we give space to highlight successful people like you, because you didn't necessarily grow up saying, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I think you provide living proof that there is a path to entrepreneurship. And so whether it's through your original thought of being a nurse, transitioning that into really helping people negotiate and better use technology. So that's wonderful. Well, I could talk to you for a lot longer time, but I think our judges have rendered a decision. So, Chanté, I would love for you. First of all, thank you for taking time out.
I appreciate it.
Best wishes with continued success with The Darkest Horse. Hopefully, you can get some new clients from this broadcast. I'll certainly know how to promote what you're doing. So, if you wouldn't mind, hang around and let's see who won our competition today. So
you got it. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. So thank you. And actually, we'd like all of our competitors to come back to the screen, come back to the stage, all of our competitors and all of our judges. All right. So normally I'm in the judges room. So now I am eagerly awaiting to see who is our winner today. So first, which of our judges is going to announce our winner? Anna. All right, Anna, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Stephen. First of all, congratulations to all of you. This was actually pretty tough. Really strong companies today. We are very excited, James, to tell you that Scripted has been chosen as the winner today, and congratulations to you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly, I really am shocked because I don't think I've seen a pitch competition ever this tough. So I commend all the competitors because you guys are really crushing it. But also we're super thankful because we're busting our butts like everybody else. So really appreciate this opportunity to P33, TechRise, the judges. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
James, Dr. Lott, congratulations. And to all the founders, Nestor, Anthony, Pat, Megan. Again, I'm here every week. And so this was definitely a competition filled with 5 well-executed pitches. Kudos to all of you. Continue to grind, continue to build. TechRise is not a one and done. Over our, season and a half, we've had several folks to come back on, might not have won the first time, but they strengthened their pitch. They continued to work and they were successful on the second. And a few all when we have your industry to come back up again. To Savannah, Anna, and to Kelly, thank you so much for taking time out to do this. I just want to let you all know before we sign off, TechRise is an inclusive in every way initiative there are ways that you can support our founders. We have obviously corporate and philanthropic support, but we have crowdfunding too. So you can go to TechRise.co and you can, every $5, every $5,000, every $5 million, everything helps to further what we're doing to continue to push the envelope and support our Black, Latinx, and our BIPOC founders. Thank you all for coming today. And on behalf of my partner and the executive director, Desiree Vargas Wrigley, thank you. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks so much.